beast, the cruelest person on earth who kills babies and pulls the body pieces of those, sells their kidneys, experiments on them, destroys every hospital, the nurses, the sick, pulls oxygen and kills the newborns in the incubators. And it's flattened the whole of North Gaza, South Gaza. And now, after promising and making false promises and lies, although he had planned 50 years ago, his mentor, Shamir, they're all war criminals, and each one of them should be marked and hanged from the neck till they take their last breath. And I will...
Outside the Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. Akram, welcome back to Democracy Now! Explain why you've moved from Rafah to Deir al-Balah. Talk about the situation with the hospitals and the number of people, nearly 500,000, who are on the move once again.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning from Gaza. Good morning from Shuhada Al-Aqsa Hospital. To start speaking about the situation, I would portray to you and all the viewers a situation that was taking place not far away from me. Few yards in the background, there were some mothers, sisters, daughters, and grandmothers also weeping over the death of their dears. Not far away from me is the morgue of the hospital where people come to claim the bodies of their dear ones. Some of them are lucky enough to find the bodies of their dears. Some others are not lucky enough to have that privilege. In Nusayrat refugee camp, a house was targeted, was reduced to rubble. 30 people were killed overnight. Some of them were retrieved. Some other people are still under the rubble of the houses that were destroyed. People are frantically trying to retrieve the bodies of their dears and of their relatives. We went there, we saw the destruction, we saw the suffering, we saw the people frantically trying to retrieve the bodies of their dears, and one of them was happy to find the body of his relative. The house was sheltering internally displaced family, a family that was displaced for around 8 times, Amy. 8 times in Gaza, 1 time from the Gaza North to Gaza City, 1 time from Gaza City to Gaza Central area, another time from Gaza Central area to Khan Yunis area, and a third and a fourth time from Gaza area to Rafah area, and then from Rafah area to another area in Rafah that was deemed safe according to the prescription of the Israeli occupation forces. People have been moving. People have been hopeful that they would survive, thinking that following the orders of the Israeli occupation forces would make them safe. However, they were shocked, and I don't think they had the time that is enough for them to be shocked. They were targeted, they're killed. Most of them were retrieved, and many of them are still under the rubble. That describes the exact situation in the Gaza Strip, the way people are living for the last 7 months, the way displacement has been weaponized when it comes to dealing the largest population of the Gaza Strip. People were killed, people are dead, people are displaced, people are losing their dears, people don't have enough food, people are suffering to secure anything that has to do with a normal life in Gaza. And those people are now described by Israel as people who were treated with dignity, and that this war is the most civilized one on earth in the history of the mankind. The things that we are seeing, the way we are being treated, is far away from being a human way. People are treated as a herd of sheep that is being herded by a shepherd who has no mercy whatsoever and who is dictating whatever he wants or she wants, because they have the ultimate power to do things, and they have the ultimate power to destroy anything they want with the most sophisticated technology they have been moving. They have been very happy and proud about the artificial intelligence they have been using for the sake of just identifying who's combatant, who's non-combatant. Unfortunately, the statistics from the ground explains how shocking the way people are being targeted. Mothers are killed with their sons, fathers are killed with their daughters and sons, whole families wiped out, and even now in Rafah area, in the east, west, south and north in Rafah, in the Gaza South area, in the Gaza North area, in the Gaza Central area, non-stop bombardment, and people who were asked to leave Rafah are now in Gaza Central area or in Khan Yunis, and they are still seeing with their own eyes. I mean, again, the lucky ones who are are surviving the bombardments are seeing with their own eyes that there is no safe haven in Gaza Strip. This is the one major risk enveloping the lives of the people of Gaza. However, starvation is one more equally important threat that and challenge that the Palestinians are seeing. Those people who have been living this displacement, destruction, and fear for the last 7 months are now struggling to secure water for their children. To start with the water, because water is the gift of life, and water is not available in Gaza. Water desalination plants were destroyed. I live in an area that is called Hamad City. There were 4 wells to serve the whole area, around 137 residential towers. Around 98 of those towers were destroyed by the Israeli occupation forces, including the 4 main facilities that have to do with the water desalination or water treatment. People are staying there. They have no water. They have to fetch the water. They have to go for around 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers or to contact some suppliers who find a great challenge in just getting the water to the people because of the lack of fuel. So no infrastructure, no food supplies, no water supplies, no medical consumables or medications allowed into the Gaza Strip, and people are left there to face that inconceivable situation when it comes to the access and protection. The whole population is not protected, and the whole population of 2.37 million Gazans are facing this critical problem of not being able to access anything decent, neither the shelter nor the supplies of any kind, and they are left to do that, and the ones who are targeted are just killed, and others, tens of thousands of Gazans are injured, and the ones who are injured are unable to go to the hospitals because hospitals are already out of services. The Al-Kuwaiti hospital was communicated with by the Israeli occupation forces. They asked them to leave the area. The area itself is part of the area that was asked to leave by the Israeli occupation forces. The situation continues to be very dire. People, even with normal health diseases, are not able to access the hospital, are not able to find a proper medication for their wounds or for their diseases or for whatever things they need, and they end up facing that type of slow death, which means they don't have access to food, they don't have access to water, they don't have access to supplies of any kind, and they are still suffering. And that speaks for the people in Gaza South, in Gaza North, in Gaza Central area. People cannot get anything decent to help them survive, and they are afraid also of the major situation, the death. And as I'm talking to you now, you can hear the ambulance coming, apparently with more people who are injured because of the ongoing bombardment in Gaza Central area that is not witnessing major ground operations as described by the Israeli occupation forces. So the whole situation is dire, is extremely catastrophic, is aggravating into something extremely ugly, unacceptable, and unbearable, is not justifiable according to the dictates of international humanitarian law, nor the international law, and the instruments that have to do with the dignity of the people, with the safe and sound access to resources at the times of conflict. People have been deprived from that decent access for around 17 years now because of the strict blockade that has been imposed on the Gaza Strip. And now they're being targeted, they're being deprived, they're being displaced, and they don't know what next is going to happen. They are afraid from death, they are afraid from hunger, they are afraid from the very lacking situation they have been living, and they don't know what the future holds for them.
Akram, I wanted to ask you mentioned northern Gaza. The Israelis had claimed that they had pacified the area. Many people have started to come back. Now they're attacking again. What are you hearing about what's happening in northern Gaza?
Northern Gaza has been seeing a large-scale ground operation. Israeli occupation forces declared that they have won the war in Gaza North. They declared that they have destroyed Hamas power, and now they're coming back apparently to win again Hamas up till some certain time when they will come back one third time to also win again. They came back to Gaza North. They targeted Az-Zaytun neighborhood. Az-Zaytun neighborhood was declared as a clear area from Hamas like around 3 months ago, and now they're coming back there. They are conducting a major operation. They're using 3 battalions in that fight, 3 brigades brigades in that fight, and they have been attacking the infrastructure. The image that is coming from a Zaytun area shows very comprehensive and intensified bombardment. Whole blocks are in smoke. The horizon is filled with black smoke, which is indicative of the ongoing fires resulting from the ongoing bombardment. And with that ongoing bombardment comes the ongoing death and destruction and injury resulted to the people. And people who are living there are also having this extremely serious problem of not having enough access to the ambulances, enough access to the hospitals, enough access to primary healthcare clinics, and the Palestinian Ministry of Health, the Palestinian Civil Defense, the UNRWA, the World Food Program, all the international organizations have been voicing their concern over the safety of the people, who might be injured and might end up dying because of the fact that there is no vehicles to go and collect them and take them to the hospitals. The situation is extremely catastrophic in the sense that the civil defense forces, the civil defense crews are not able to move their vehicles because of the fact that Gaza and Gaza terminals have been controlled and seized by the Israeli occupation forces for the last 8 days. And before that, there was the Jewish Passover vacation, and there were 11 days of total disruption of the supplies into the Gaza Strip. And then 4 days after that, the supplies were extremely slow. So people are suffering. They are deprived from everything. And the ones who are injured and the ones who are seeing now the ongoing fight or the ongoing destruction in a Zaytun area are asked to move to another area further inside Gaza City. And then that other area is targeted. We have been hearing the recent news about the bombardment and the 10 of people killed and a bombardment or a strike that took their lives, and then another 8 people, and then 10 people, and then 5 people, and then 2 people, and then 3 people, and a mother, a child, and her son. So it is extremely catastrophic, and people are moving, and they're hoping that they would survive, but unfortunately, many of them are not surviving. They're hoping to keep their shelter, but unfortunately, they end up being killed in the shelter that has been also reduced to rubble on their head. They are hopeful that they would be treated once they are injured. Unfortunately, they cannot access any health care, and they have been left with that suffering for such a very long time now, and they are unfortunately expecting to see more of the same today and tomorrow and in the coming days, with no ceasefire reached and with the international community failing to do something that would change the dynamics when it comes to that kind of continuous escalation and conflict.
And Akram, now that Israel has gained control of the Rafah crossing as well, is there any, are any of the wounded or any people who want to leave Gaza able to do so, and also of the foreigners who are there?
No human being whatsoever is allowed to cross Rafah crossing or Kerem Shalom crossing. In the second day of that seizure of the border, a truck was summoned by the Israeli occupation forces for a transporter that is known, unidentified, and recognized by the Israeli army. They went there. 10 people went there. 6 of them were shot by the Israeli army, and the truck that was supposed to enter Gaza did not enter Gaza. So it's a full and complete closure of the border. No foreigners, no Gazans, no one is allowed to move from that area, and no supplies whatsoever have been entering that area ever since this whole process started in Rafah and Kerem Shalom area.
Akram, this is going to be our last question. I just want to emphasize to people how rare it is to hear a reporter inside Gaza, so we thank you so much for this report. Now, you have moved out of Rafah. Is this the full ground invasion of Rafah that we're witnessing? And also, can you comment on the civil defense group that held a news conference today saying that Israel is targeting their heavy machinery that helps to get people out of the rubble, that they are increasingly unable, also not having fuel, to save people from the rubble, where it's expected over these months there are over 10,000 people at least buried, but continuing each day?
Reporting from Gaza, to start with, reporting from Gaza, Amy, is a great challenge for me and for every single reporter who's in Gaza. We're part of this fight. We're made to be part of this fight by the Israeli occupation forces, although our job as journalists is to provide as accurate and sound image about the situation as we can, and we have been trying. We are humans and we are Gazans, and we are suffering just like those other peoples. We have this problem with accessing food and water, with accessing supplies, and we are struggling, but we are willingly undertaking that responsibility because this is a moral and national obligation to start with. And then when it comes to the Palestinian civil defense, it's not only the Palestinian civil defense heavy ministry that is being targeted. Also the Gaza municipality heavy machinery is being targeted by incendiary materials. There were some reports for the last 2 months and a half of Israeli quadcopter pouring some incendiary materials over those heavy machinery and targeting and burying them. I think the way things are being done now is a way that with an ultimate objective of crippling all the humanitarian relief systems in Gaza, leaving people extremely vulnerable and exposed to bottlenecks because of that ongoing operation. And I think they're trying to prepare the Palestinians for full subjugation by doing that. When we have been hearing about this issue in the Gaza North, Gaza City, and also in the Gaza South, the way the Israeli occupation is dealing with the heavy machinery that is supposed to be doing the leveling work for the sake of just helping the people and also removing the rubble. We have around 10,000 Gazans who are still under the rubble, who are still, their condition is unknown. Absolutely they are dead, which makes the true number of people dead 45,000, not 35,000. 10,000 people are still under the rubble. Some of them are under the rubble for 7 months. 7 whole months bodies are under the rubble. Very close friend of mine was also under the rubble for 3 months. 3 months and a half, he and his mother, and no heavy machinery, no excavators, no vehicles of any kind were allowed into Khan Yunis area, and he ended up being retrieved after 3 months and a half. This is one story of tens of thousands of a story of misery and fear, of non-mercy over the life of the people, and also of an issue that has no consideration whatever for the lives of people, and no treatment of people as humans. This is one critical issue. The Palestinian civil defense is going to be here, like the podium is, they are just setting up the podium. They're going to talk about the situation, they're going to talk about their suffering, they're going to talk about their hopes and expectations, and they're going to make an appeal to the international community to try to do something. And unfortunately they project that the international community that has failed in the past to do anything will fail just today to help the people who are under the rubble and to help the Gaza population that has been seeing horrors that were not mentioned or documented in the history of the mankind. A blockade on 2.37 Gazans, suffering for 2.37 Gazans, bombardment of whole built areas that left around 1.9 million Gazans without any shelter and left them exposed to the problems and to the health diseases and all kinds of things that are unimaginable. However, Gazans are living them.
This is an appeal from a human being who cannot see what you are all watching now on this vlog and not help. Unless you are an animal, and this appeal is to all 57 Muslim countries that you will go all to hell and burn in the deepest pits of fire unless you go and save these 2.5 million people. See how helpless they are, how trapped they are, how starved they are, how can't they have. You talk about Imam Hassan and Hussein, and you talk about the last fight to save humanity, fight on principles. Where is that gone now? Why 99% of Iran believes in and they are Al-Atishi? Where are you? Why aren't you sending your planes and army and your nukes which you claim you have? Where is Pakistan? Where the hell the whole Sunni world is? Where is Erdogan? Dead beasts, you are dead. Dead you are. All of you Arabs you are. You don't hear the cries of these innocent women and children. See how they are displaced. and you die of shame, what will be written about you in the history? I think Muhammad bin Salman, you drown your head into the water yourself and let every of air leave your lungs so that you feel the pain of death, slow death, death which is so difficult unless it's, you cut the throat of people, and the easiest and most painless death is by hemorrhage. But look at this slow death which these poor people trapped in Rafah are facing. And shame on you, Sisi. You are really a Sisi, and it's not with SIS Sisi. You are that woman who is just coward, timid, cunning. Die of you. You take your bloody uniform and burn it about your army service. And I would say the same thing about Russia and China. Where the hell are you? Why are you just giving them just a small tiny drop of water and these small tiny helps, and you want to get away with this? And would this not be on your conscience, Mr. Putin? Would this not be on your conscience, Mr. President of China? You claim that you have all the wealth of the world and you are the greatest and you have the strongest technology and you can do this and you can do that. Where the hell is your humanity? Are you a human being? You are not. None of you are a human being, irrespective. First, I'm just cursing the Arab world, the Muslim world, and especially Pakistan, who's got nukes. And where is your army? You've been like a vampire. You've been sucking the blood of this nation for 75 years and getting all the benefits. Why don't you go and fight now? What are you afraid of? Death? Death, the day it is going to come, nobody is going to change that day for you. Whether it will be by an Indian Sikh or by an Indian Hindu or a soldier or by a Chinese or an Afghani or an Irani, or what that matter if it is going to be an Israeli. Die. Die in the cause and save them. Now you talk about jihad, now you can see every word in the Holy Quran when they said to go and fight the people who have taken and removed you from your homes, because you have then the right given to you. You are watching genocide. You are going and just like pussyfooting, you are just leaving this to the International Court of Justice or United Nations Security Council or the general body. Are they going to help you? They are never going to help you. Remember this. So go there if you want to save them, and if you don't, then just blacken your face, hide, and then disappear.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर